Okay, alright, well, this is the first part into super basics of Unreal Engine, and we're going to start off with making a project, and for my class, putting your blockouts inside the project. So let's get started. When you open up Unreal Engine editor in the Uni PCs, you just gotta make sure you click Games, you click Next. Then I want you to pick the perspective that your environment's gonna be explored through. So I don't want you to click blank, I don't want you to click these other ones. I want you to click first person, third person, or top down. I don't think we're doing rolling, I don't think we're doing puzzles, so first, third, top down, right? Pick one of those. I'm gonna click third person because in future videos I want to show you some stuff. That's the only reason I'm picking that. You click next. You want to make sure you're using blueprints, your maximum quality. We don't use ray tracing for what we're doing now. It's on desktop, and you don't need starter content right now. Then you choose where you want to save it. I'm going to save it on my drive here, and call it what you want to call it. Just make sure you don't have any spaces. I'll call it demo proj YouTube project. Then you just gotta sit tight for a little bit whilst it's readies up. This is the part where we tell jokes and sip coffee. Just give me 2 seconds. You can just skip forward 10 seconds on the video, and you're gonna get where you need to go. And we're back. Right, so it's gonna open something like this, and let's go through and just explain what everything is. So first you have your 3D viewport. You're gonna get a little confused with the controls if you've been using Maya for a while, but you will get used to it. So this is your viewport. You can click on the 3D objects in the viewport. This is the game view that's in the middle. You can press escape, of course, to deselect. And you can use WER to switch between the different manipulation methods, just like in Maya. Now, also, if you have your mouse here and you can hold right click, you can look around, which is great. And just like in certain games where you fly around a lot, you're looking around with right click. I'm still holding it, and with WASD you can fly around. Excellent. And with Q and E you can go up and down like this. Now this is my preferred method of looking around. Other people prefer to use the scroll wheel, or clicking the middle mouse button to pan, or clicking the left button to like zoom back and forth. I prefer to just fly around because it feels more natural to me. And just like in Unity, if you're scrolling back and forth, if you're rolling the mouse button at the same time, you can increase your speed, and if you roll it back, you're going to reduce the speed. And also here you have this little further controller for the speed. Now let's go through the rest of the UI before we go into actually moving stuff around. So on the right here, we have our outliner of everything that's in the scene, and this is all our stuff here. You can see that everything is in there, and we also have all our gameplay objects here as well. On Unity, this window is usually on the side here, but the only difference is that it's here. If you want it to be more like Unity, you could just pop it in on this side if you're really used to that, but I'm just going to keep it here. That's what I'm used to. Below it, we have our details panel. So if I just press escape, you can see it's empty, and anything I click on, it's going to show me all the details. There's a lot of engine related options here, of which we're not going to worry about any of them. We just need to be aware that we have our channels here that tell us the location, rotation, etc. So all of that's in there for every object you select. At the bottom, we have our content browser, pretty similar to Unity. It's just all of the objects in the project before we've put them in the game. So I can go to geometry here, meshes, and I can just drag in like some cubes and stuff. and when I'm importing assets, they're gonna go in here. Assets, textures, everything. When you're creating gameplay objects, you can put them in here as well. Anyway, that's that. And on the left here, you have a spawn menu, essentially. You can take any kind of actors from the engine and put them in. So these aren't things you've imported, these are things that are native to the engine. So we have default primitives, like cubes and spheres. We also have lights, we have cameras, stuff for visual effects and lighting, and other stuff like that. So a lot of different things we can use. Whereas in Unity, if you've used it, all we had to do was right click on our outliner and choose what we want to import, right click in here, choose what we want to import. There are still some things we can do that way, but a lot of the things we're going to be using for lighting and cameras are going to be on this side, so that's what this is for. And also at the top here you have your usual kind of stuff. You got your save and you got your play. All the stuff in between we'll worry about a little bit later. And in file here you have your save current, which saves the current level only. You have save all levels, which saves all the levels, and you have save all, which is also going to save your assets down here. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much everything to do with the basics of Unreal's UI and clicking stuff and all of that. Basics, of course, not the detailed stuff. Now, just a little few things about manipulating objects in here. If I want to move this guy around, bring it up, rotate it a little, move it a little more. Now you can see that it's always going to be in the world axis. To change that, there's this little thing here. It has the world, has a box, has the world, has a box. And that's different for every manipulator. I believe the scale is always object space. I don't think you can scale it by world space. That's what that's for. You have a grid here, which I don't think we can see anyway. Oh, there it is. We have a grid here, which you can turn on and off. Oh, excuse me. This is not turning off the grid. This is just whether when you move, you snap to the grid. Turn that off. It's free flow movement, right? It's the same. These little things are the same, but for rotation and scaling. So, for example, now it's scaling by pieces. Turn this off. Scaling smoothly, rotating rather, and the scaling as well. Scales by bits. Scales smoothly, right? And that's all of this stuff. What that does. And as for the actual grid and all of these like UI things and all of that, if you want to get rid of those temporarily, just press G on your keyboard, and that's going to take off all of the debug stuff, and it's going to show you how it's going to look like in the game. A few little more tips. If you press F11, you go full screen, and if you press play, you play the thing. And since we selected a template, you're gonna have a little naked robot guy shaking his butt as you're walking around. So you've got this guy, and you can walk around and see what's going on. Okay, great. Anyway, that's the Unreal part. So what are we gonna do? I want to show you guys how to take your block out and essentially make it into individual objects that you can put into Unreal. This is going to be pretty straightforward for those of you that have done Unity with me. Now, also, I just want to delete all of this stuff. So, if I just do this and delete, it's actually only going to delete the folder, and all of this stuff is going to be left outside. So I'm going to right-click it and click Select All Descendants. That's going to select everything, and I'm just going to delete because I don't want it. Don't want this. Don't want the arena. Don't want the walkway. This is a cube, don't need these cubes that I put in. And we just have essentially our player and this sphere. And when we play, he just falls forever. Great, excellent. Okay, so let's go into Maya. This is my pathetic attempt at kind of making a really quick diorama, really quick blockout rather, excuse me, to show you guys how you could put your blockout into Unreal. It's not meant to be good. I just wanted to throw something in as quick as I could so I can get into making this video. And this is supposed to be some kind of little cafe. Let me open up the blockout. So you can see I have these little stools, I have these tables, I have these walls and stuff. And I just wanted to show you guys as well that if you have a lot of the same object or just any objects that you want to have the same name, what you can do, as you can see, they're down here. What you can do is select them all, and up here you have this little arrow next to your profile, and by default it gives you like these free location stuff. We don't want that. You want to click this little icon and select rename instead, and now I can call these, like, I don't know, bench, for example. Press enter, and it's going to rename all of them bench in order, right? So I just wanted to let you guys know that that exists. Now, so what I need to do is go through and take one of every unique asset that I have in this scene. Actually, I only have the wall and this one. And then I duplicated them. I pressed Shift P to take them out of their group. Just gonna make sure I'm recording. I am. Just always good to check once in a while. Put Shift P, remove the number from each of them, and then I essentially, I'm just gonna delete them now. I put them into blockout asset, this group here. Now also you notice that I'm just gonna do something really quickly. Let me just take a door here, this door piece, right? I'm gonna hide this blockout scene. So let's say that I'm like, okay, the door is ready. I'm gonna export the door, and I put it to the center of the world. Freeze transformations, edit, delete by type history, which is actually also here, history. And then I'm gonna export this file, export selection, just put it on desktop for now, call it test. And I'm gonna put it as FBX export. Make sure that our geometry panel has the first and the third one on, the rest we don't need. And make sure our animation is off because we don't need that. And I'm gonna export this. Let's go into Unreal. And this is supposed to be like a pretty large, you know, doorway. Let me go into desktop and put that in. So our import options we can leave as default for the time being. Excellent. Okay, so it's going to import our asset and any kind of materials associated with it, and I'm going to drag that in, and you can see that it's very small. It is very, very small. So this is why I'm saying you need to figure out the scale of your assets during the block out. They have to be blocked out to the right scale. Now I'm just going to really, like, I'm not really being careful. I'm just going to put this at like 10 or something, and delete, free the transformations, the history. Now I'm going to re-export it to the same file, right? Same file. And then I'm going to go to Unreal, and all I have to do, I'm going to drag this in again. All I have to do, because it's in the same file, and Unreal Engine knows where its kind of assets are coming from, which files the assets are coming from, I can just right click and click re-import, and it's going to import it again and automatically update everything in the engine to that, right? So that's pretty great. It means that you can essentially, like, you know, do edits if you need to, but also it means that you can literally just make your asset and then re-export it, update it, and then your whole level's blockout will be updated with the correct assets, which is pretty nice. So I'm going to delete these because we don't need them. And we're going to go back to Maya, delete this, and I want to show you what I've done with those assets. Essentially, I scaled them up to what I thought was the correct size, and I put them all in the middle, put all their pivot points in the right place and stuff like that, and then I select them all, and temporarily I press Shift P to take them out of their group because I don't want them to be in the group right now. And I'm going to go to File, Game Exporter. I was going to say export selecting. Game Exporter is where we're going to go. And you might have seen me use this before. Essentially, you can export multiple files, multiple assets to multiple files all at the same time really quickly. It's good. So let's go export selection. We want, this is on by default. We turn off, let me reset the settings actually so you can, I don't know where the reset settings is, so it doesn't matter. But you want to turn off skinning and blend shapes because we're not doing animation. In your settings, you want to make sure it's set to multiple files, and you want to put in the preset name as whatever you want to put. I'll put it as blockout, underscore at the end, and you choose where you want to do it. So I'm going to do it on computer, demo assets, that's what that stands for. Choose it here, click export, and all of export successful. All of those assets have gone in there. So I'm going to put them back real quick. So now if I go to demo assets, all of them are here. Blockout underscore and the name of all the assets I had selected. Really good, really effective, really quick way of exporting multiple assets at the same time they're ready. So just to clarify, I scaled them up to the right size, made sure the pivot points in the right place, delete history, freeze transformations, everything, so they're completely clean. I take them out of their group temporarily. I export them with the game exporter with the settings that I showed you, and that will put them all one by one in the file, right? And what we can do now is we can just go to Unreal Engine, grab all of these, stick them in here, and import. Import all, rather, because it's going to ask me for each one. Okay, great. So that's like put all of them in here, and you can see that now I can just drag in each of them. I'm going to make sure they're at the 0 of the world. There we go. I can drag in all of them. I can duplicate them, which you can do with Control W. And also you can even hold V here, like in my, you can hold V and snap it to another vertex, which is really useful. That's why we put the thingies. Hold on, I need to duplicate it first. That's why we put the thingies on the corner. Okay, and you can put, you know, your walls. I'm not doing this properly, as you can tell. I'm not gonna be super careful or whatever. I just want to show you guys that you can drag them in, which should be pretty straightforward. And all of that stuff, it snaps to the bottom. You can put in your plants and whatever. Let's put in like a little table and a couple of chairs. Super fancy. All right, great. And we can play, and we're a giant, right? Because I haven't scaled this properly, as you can tell. But yeah, you can. This is how you can essentially put your block out in, and you can make your whole level out of the block out. And what we're gonna do later, we're gonna light it. We're gonna do material stuff to teach you and other basics and things like that. But I just want you guys to be able to take your block out and put it in here, right? And I just want to show you one last thing, which I already showed you, but I just want to show it again because I think it's kind of cool. I took one of these assets, the stool, and I just literally duplicated it and put it in another group, and I modeled it like this. It's literally just like a new model. I grabbed it, you know, it's all combined, everything's clean, it's in the bottom, file, export selection, put it on the where did I save it? In here. And I'm gonna overwrite that stool I have here, and then I'm gonna go to Unreal, right click the stool, re-import, and all the stools are like this now. So I could have added UVs, I could have done all of that stuff, and this would have updated with the UVs and all of that and all of this. And I can tell that I haven't put the pivot point in the right place. Have I? No, I have. And why is it not in the right place? Yeah, they're all like set to like 10. That should be 0. There we go. But that's still wrong, because these are at 10. Why are they all at 10? These should all be at 0. But they're not. Maybe because my pivot point is at, yeah, my pivot point's at the bottom, not the top. The pivot point should be, if I bring that back, this is a slight segue. Floor tile. Pivot point should be on the top there. Anyway, you get the gist. That's the basics of like just opening Unreal, starting a project, how the main like easy moving around and what these panels do, how to put your assets in there, and for the students that I'm teaching, how to throw your block out in there so you could even kind of like walk around it or on it depending on how accurate your collisions are. Alright, well, hope that's useful, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye bye.